All right, well, I'll go ahead and get started. Um, we're here, of course, for 2021 scholarship information through 4-H. And if you are a sophomore through senior in high school or parent of a sophomore through senior in high school, this will provide information for you to get started on your scholarship preparations for your experiences through 4-H. My name is Kathy Wansiedler. This is my first year to host this workshop. It's been done for many years by Carol Schmidt, who had to step down this year between her responsibilities and as an accountant and planning a wedding and all kinds of things going on for her. So because I do the Achievement Resume Project, I'm familiar with most of this process, and especially with the process that we'll be emphasizing for the Indiana 4-H Accomplishment Scholarship. So hopefully everyone has had the opportunity either to pick up a package. These packets are available at the 4-H office, or to go online and download all of this information. Tons of information here about all of the scholarships that you can apply for through 4-H. So the main thing with the packet or with the documents that you can download is this nice list that tells you exactly what scholarships exist and the amount of those scholarships and how you apply for those scholarships. So the most important thing for you to do is to read through this list, and it's both front and back, and determine which scholarships you might be eligible for according to the year you are in school. A lot of the scholarships are senior year only, but there are some that you can start applying for even when you are a sophomore in high school. And you can actually even apply for some when you are in your first year of college. So that'll be the first step that you take when you sit down and run through this package. And we'll just kind of move through our PowerPoint here and talk about the key points for applying for your scholarships. We will have a follow-up workshop that will be announced in January. It will take place before the due date of the scholarships, which is January 25th. So hopefully, we'll hope that that could be a live workshop, or if not, we'll probably arrange something where people can share with me what they've prepared for their scholarship documents, or and then also have a little workshop about it. But you'll have an opportunity to follow up from today with any before you make your final submission, if you like. Okay. This isn't. One moment, having a little technical problem. Okay. So I can't use this.
You should be able to.
Okay. No, I'm too far up. Sorry.
I don't know what happened. Okay.
Okay.
Let's get it back. Let's get it back to the slide that you want.
Yeah.
And present it again.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Okay. So kind of a summary of the summary sheet. There are several of the scholarships that are during your senior year only. You really need to keep the January 25th date in mind for preparing your documents for these scholarships. And again, it will list on this sheet and in the packet, you will have documents that tell you exactly what to do to apply for each and every one of these scholarships. And I just definitely want to encourage people to apply for anything that you might be eligible for. You never know how many people may or may not apply. Maybe you'll be the only person, or maybe you'll just be the person who is selected. So it's worth your time, especially if you do one submission. it's great to be able to copy and paste and use a lot of that information for other submissions. And also with your actual scholarship applications that you're doing anyway, or your college applications, a lot of this information overlaps. So it's worth your time to put that effort in. We will be focusing on the Indiana 4-H Accomplishment Scholarship in just a moment. Again, look at your list for when things are due. A lot of the trips, like National Conference to DC, National Congress, those things will be kind of announced piece by piece this year, because we don't know what's happening with COVID. Will these be things that people attend virtually? Will the selection process be wider because they're virtual? Will people actually travel for any of these trips? We don't know, but the 4-H office will continue to update anybody who's eligible for those. Okay. So you have the Outstanding 4-H Achievement Award, the Outstanding Ag Achievement Award. These are described in the documents you can download or in that scholarship packet. Gives you great detail on what you do. And excuse me, even will give you some forms to prepare for those particular scholarships. We already talked about, we'll hear about the trip opportunities in the future. All right, so the main things to keep in mind when you're applying for your 4-H scholarships is that the purpose is 4-H and its passion for life skills for people who participate, for youth who participate. So they're looking at what life skills have you developed? What have you gotten out of 4-H, as well as what have you given back to 4-H? So it's considered an investment. Your character's being developed. It's not just a self-serving thing. You have a lot of skills that you've acquired by doing any project at all, whether that's planning, responsibility, leadership. No matter what project you've done, you have developed some kind of life skills. And that's what the focus is for earning the scholarships. Last year, it says they awarded over $136,000 in scholarships through Indiana 4-H, and then Hamilton County separately awarded quite a number of scholarships as well. What we'll start our focus on this evening here is the Indiana 4-H Youth Development Accomplishment Resume Scholarship. Okay, this is the main, kind of the main scholarship thing. Indiana 4-H awards a minimum of 30 of these $1,000 scholarships, and they're awarded by category. If someone has already won one of those scholarships, they can apply for a premier $2,000 scholarship. So if anybody's in that circumstance, we can talk about that, or you can email me later. But we're going to focus right now on that first submission for a $1,000 scholarship. If you are a sophomore through senior, you can apply for this. Now, some people will say $1,000. Well, you know, when I think about scholarship, I think about, you know, $10,000 or, well, there are scholarships like that out in the world or out with different universities, but $1,000 is a significant amount of money. If you think about how long it takes you to work at, say, $10 an hour to earn $1,000, you're probably getting 2.5, 3 weeks of pay that you don't have to spend yourself towards your college education or your technical education, whatever you're choosing, so that you can apply that money elsewhere. So it's a great opportunity. So we've talked about your eligibility, grades 10, 11, 12, and college freshmen. If you've already won the 1,000, then you can apply for the 2,000. The process is going to be to prepare your applications, and you'll submit it electronically through your 4-H online family account by January 25th. After that time, people are notified by letter if they're going to be given an interview. That's the next stage. Usually those interviews are live at Purdue University, but they'll be online this year on March 20th. So a couple key kind of numbers to think about. They usually get around 600 applications. And that sounds like a lot. That is a lot. But about half of them or more are thrown away immediately, because when the scholarship judges open these things up, they're already off the bat. They're sloppy, typos, grammar errors, the kind of thing that would get a C in a class, maybe even a B, is thrown in the trash. So it gets narrowed down greatly just when they open that envelope. And from that point, they narrow it down to about 60 to do the interviews. Hamilton County has always been very well represented at the interview stage. We've had several people go up every year. So as long as you pay attention to all these wonderful materials that our 4-H office and Carol have prepared in the past, you should be able to be successful with getting to the interview stage. So we got this cute little slide, you know, the example. I read your college application essay. First of all, the word college has 2 L's. This is the kind of thing that will have your application, you know, immediately dumped. So there are 8 categories that you would apply under. Animal science, meat and milk production. You can read these: animal science, companion, and small animals. So for example, if you do livestock, would be the first animal science. Animal science in the second category would be dog, cat. There's citizenship, communications, engineering and technological science, healthy living, food nutrition, leadership development, plant environmental science. So,
Hi, Kathy. I just wanted to ask.
Sure.
Is it possible for us to apply to more than one category, or do you have to apply specifically under one category?
Okay, yeah, here we are right now. Great question. You can submit up to 3 categories, but you can only put 1 submission in per category. So if you've done several things, like you've had, you know, just a lot of 4-H experience in a category, but it's been several projects, we'll get into some detail about this, but you're going to put this all still into that category. So say, for example, maybe it's communications. Well, you may have several projects where you can identify the life skills you've acquired and or the volunteer work you've done that have involved communication aspects of that project or those projects. So there are lists here that show you what each project falls under. Does that answer that to start with?
Yep, that does get into it. You just mentioned that list just at the very end. I wanted to ask, is that list on the Hamilton County article where we found our packet, or?
Yeah, it should be. I believe it is, but I will verify that. Yeah, it is. It actually is on there's several pages on this section of the accomplishment resume scholarship. And in those pages, it will show you what qualifies under each category. I don't know if you can see that, or if you have your package in front of you or the online information. So like under leadership development category, things like Ag Day, any achievement trips, public speaking, Congress, 4-H conference, obviously junior leaders. Perhaps you've done some leadership work with your club, or maybe you've done leadership in a project. But again, those are enumerated in this section, so it's pretty easy to find. It also describes how in this submission there will be a one-page demographics page that you fill out online, like your basic information, all of your, who you are, how many years you've been in 4-H. It's just sort of a checklist document. Again, there's a sample in your packet and the online information. You will enumerate what projects you've been involved in. You will then do a one-page cover letter. So you will want to have, you want this to be very professional, so you want to make sure that you have, you know, a nice header. Let me find an example here real quickly. So that like you have your name and address at the top, just like you would for any professional writing. And that it's addressed to the Scholarship Selection Committee. Then your 2-page resume will be on there. We'll get into details about that. The 2-page resume will have headers where you target your skills, and then you have 5 life skills that you'll want to target, and then you want to describe your experiences in those life skills. We'll talk about that more in a minute. At the end of it, you put a little section about your future goals, like what you plan to do in the future, and any 4-H honors that are specific to your category. So in the resume, the point of your resume isn't I won champion in foods. That's not the point of the resume, but you do list that in your honors. That's okay to list in honors. You would, in foods, you're going to focus on something more like, it helped you improve mathematical skills by having to measure correctly to create, 24 perfectly same sized buns, or, I'm just making up an example. The other thing that you have to focus on is you have to make sure that it's only about 4-H. You don't talk about any non-4-H activities. This is not a submission that has to do with, FFA or your roles in your school. Or any other accomplishments that you have. This is just about 4-H. And then the entire document is submitted as one PDF. And if you have problems with that, the office can help walk you through that to make sure that your documents are together correctly. So here you can see, I'll run through a couple of these examples. Like animal science, you can see what the different categories are that could be included. Like maybe you've done the vet science project and rabbit, or maybe you've done public speaking about animal science. So any way that you can connect any of your projects under that category, that's the approach that you'll take in your resume and your cover letter. I think the thing that gets harder is kind of figuring out what to put under the citizenship or leadership categories. And again, if you just look at the package and you kind of study what sort of things would fall under that category, it will help you decide which way to go. Communications, again, you might think, well, that's just for someone who's done public speaking. Well, not necessarily. Maybe you have been a devotions officer with junior leaders, or Maybe you have, led communications in your club, or you've done presentations about things, or in vet science, maybe you've done a presentation, or maybe you've been involved in other specialty 4-H things where you've had to do a lot of communicating. The engineering and technological science category is kind of obvious with robotics and computer and aerospace and such, electric. Healthy living, food, nutrition, science. Now that one actually includes personality project and photography. Sewing comes under that category. So if you just look at that information that's put together for that particular section, the accomplishment scholarship, you can identify where your projects belong, what category.
Before we move on, Kathy, can I ask, does Hamilton County have any recommendations for our county-specific projects as to where they would fall within the 8 categories?
Well, what do you mean? Like, why? I mean, it's pretty
One
much
of our county projects, like Travelog, for example.
okay. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. Like Travelog. I think that comes under the healthy living, food, nutrition. Or again, I mean, you can kind of also tailor your thoughts about that. I can double check what that has come under before, because I know that's, a big project for you. But I suspect that is where that seems to be kind of the catch-all category, unless it's obviously involved with something else. So I can verify that for you. And if that's okay, if I get back with you, yeah. If you've got my email address, if you would shoot me an email tonight or tomorrow so that I can get back with you on that specifically and verify that for you. So again, the 2,000 if you've already won the 1,000. I think some people have done the resume project before. Hopefully, if you have, this is going to be a lot easier project or experience for you. If not, the idea of doing the life skills can seem kind of weird at first, but again, our packet gives us some nice examples of what you can identify for life skills. And you can go online and type in life skills and come up with ideas, because anymore, these are used on professional resumes as well, not just scholarship resumes. Professional resumes are people are identifying life skills more and more also because they're in high demand. Just having a degree doesn't necessarily equate to a job all the time anymore. People need to be able to show that they have demonstrated in some capacity, whether that's volunteer work or other events or other things they participated in, that they're responsible and that they've experienced leadership and that they know how to communicate. So you can just Google life skills and you'll come up with a lot of things. But on our example here, we see things like accepting differences, communicating, conflict resolution, contributing to a group effort, honesty, nurturing relationships, mathematics, mastering technology. So when you think about any particular project that you've done and you think about what it took for you to get that project done, those are the kind of things that are life skills, whether it took your time management or creativity or responsibility or how you used your resources, how you record keeping, self-motivation. Maybe you had to really step outside your comfort zone in some way and accomplish something you weren't comfortable about doing. So you all know what you've accomplished through your projects. This wheel is, again, this is available online on the Purdue website, or it comes up on a lot of, when you click Google life skills or 4-H life skills, this wheel comes up with some ideas about life skills. The next element that's very important is to, once you've identified your life skills, is to try to use the best language that you can to communicate on your resume and in your cover letter about those life skills. You don't want to say things like said, did, you want to use action verbs. And I know everybody's had lots of writing courses, and you've learned about action verbs or spicy verbs or quality verbs and adverbs. So you want to show that you have some, mastery of language, and that you can communicate in a way that is going to grab the judge's attention. And to that end, the most important line in your cover letter is going to be your first sentence. You really want to have a good opening sentence to set the tone for your cover letter, for the judges to want to continue to read your letter and, look closely at your submission. So you'll want to start out, just brainstorming the categories that you would fit in, what kind of life skills would apply to those. Just start making little notes and putting it together. And then thinking about what are the exact examples you can give about showing how that life skill, was exemplified in your work. So, for example, on this example, community service volunteering. Okay, maybe you led the cakewalk at a Halloween party. You made Linus blankets. You worked Ag Day. Now, I'm using very simple language. You are going to want to have a full sentence, and your full sentence should give details. And for your details, one of your best friends, for those of you who are in junior leaders, is your junior leader manual and your old manuals. This will remind you of things that you've done that maybe you even forgot about, or that you wouldn't have thought about listing. And one of the things the judges really love, especially in the citizenship and leadership categories, is information about numbers. So, for example, if you made Linus blankets, well, how many were made, or how many were donated? Or if you host or you worked at the nursing home party, how many residents were there? How many residents did you serve? Not all that information is necessarily here, but this is where Lisa Haney is really wonderful at providing you with details, things you may never have known to think about before. You can call Lisa and say, hey, when we did that Halloween party, about how many kids came when we had that egg hunt, because they keep all these statistics on this stuff, and you can throw that in. Prepared, 600 Easter eggs for a community Easter egg hunt. So this is where you can also come up with a lot of detail for your resume. You want to make sure that you're choosing your 5 strongest life skills, the things that you can give the best examples for, to make your 2-page resume. So here's an example in more detail. Decorated and managed cakewalk booth at 4-H Junior Leaders Free Community Halloween Party. Gave away 500 baked treats to over 350 costumed children attending event. So again, Lisa would have that information. Now, for people doing some of the livestock projects, you can get into some details about maybe how much feed you had to manage for your animal, or how many times you had to do a certain activity to get your animal to the point that you could show the animal. There are many things you can come up with to reflect all the work that went into what you did for your project. And as we were talking about using the best language possible and about giving the detail, Carol's always said that the thesaurus is your best friend. Yes, it is. If you don't know what word to use, or you find yourself using the same word over and over, you don't want to keep saying led, I led this meeting, I led this. We'll go to the, what are some other words for led the meeting? And another great resource that we found in our family was wordstouse.com. And that's really neat because that will tie words and phrases together so that you find words and phrases that go with a certain topic, that goes with livestock, goes with floriculture, words that go with, dogs, or, anything. So that's a great resource. So we looked for a moment at writing your cover letter. You want to use a proper letter format. You want to open it with a strong and bold statement that sets the tone and invites, wants the person to keep reading. Just like when you open a book, you aren't interested if the first line isn't very interesting. You want your first line to be really interesting. Write your paragraphs such that you can kind of flesh out a story about a couple of your life skills or a couple of your experiences with your life skills. Make it interesting, really bring it to life. Obviously, closing paragraph ties what you've said in the rest of the letter, a nice little bow. And you have a thank you comment. You thank them for reading your resume, considering your resume. And you do need to sign the letter in a different font than the body of the letter. And that's important. We learned that the first year, forgot to put that signature in. I think some of this is kind of hard to do via Zoom. But again, if you go to your package and you go on the website, it will walk you through how you do the demographics page document. It's an online document, and you just fill it out like you would any other kind of, online document. All right. So key element on all of these resume and scholarship applications, like I said, they throw away over half of them because they just aren't well done to begin with. So read it out loud 3 times to catch your errors. It's too easy to miss your errors when you just proofread by reading something to yourself and not reading out loud, but do it 3 times. Have your parents read it out loud also. Have somebody else you trust read it out loud, whether that's an English teacher or a friend or relative or neighbor who is a good writer, good at reading over things, because it's worth $1,000 to you to make sure that it's right. You want to make sure that you have followed all of the instructions that are given. For example, your font can't be smaller than 10 point. So just like you do with your 4-H projects, where all the details count, this is another thing where all the details count. Obviously, no plagiarism, has to be original work. So I don't think any 4-Hers would do that anyway. Again, it gets submitted electronically through the 4-H office, through your 4-H online family account. I think everybody's pretty much familiar with going into your 4-H family account. It has a place where it allows you to submit for scholarships. So again, we're kind of in this obviously weird situation where we don't know, will we have a live workshop in January? If we had a live workshop, I would ask people to bring either a hard copy of their draft or bring a laptop. But under the circumstances, since we don't know what will happen, I'm definitely open to having people email me their drafts before January, or at the beginning of January. I think you want to know that you have a good cover letter and resume put together, probably by the 20th. You want to know that you've got what you want to submit. So I'm happy to look at those. I won't be rewriting. I will look for errors. I won't promise that I'm not going to act as the proofreader. I will tell you any glaring errors, or I will definitely tell you what you need to do overall to polish it up better. So my older daughter went through this process, and the first year she made it to the interview stage but did not get a scholarship. The second year she did interview and get the scholarship. And her senior year she did get, I guess, 3 or 4 different scholarships between Indiana 4-H and Hamilton County 4-H. So definitely, those of you who've been very active with your projects, been very active with 4-H, this is an excellent opportunity, and you should expect to be able to get some scholarships from 4-H. Obviously, everybody is here tonight because you're very motivated. 4-H has been important to you, and I'm sure that you will find scholarships that you can apply for and succeed with. So are there any specific questions right now?
Sorry, I got in at like 7:20, and I feel like I kind of missed the beginning. Is there like a recap, just like a brief, what that was about?
Yeah, the recap is that did you pick up a packet from the office, or have you gotten documents downloaded from online?
No, I don't think I've done that yet.
Okay, all right. Well, when you do that, a lot of this is very self-explanatory. You just really need to read through the documents. There's a first page that will summarize all of the scholarships that you might be eligible for. So you want to identify which scholarships you are eligible for. Okay. And then there are attachments that give you details about how to apply for each of those scholarships. And you want to follow the process in detail, just like you do with a project. You want to make sure you don't miss any details. And you can certainly contact me, or you can contact Kathleen if you have any questions about any particular scholarship. And you want to make sure that it's A work. If you're in school, yeah. Would it get an A? To make sure that you're going to be able to be competitive for the scholarship. We've seen a lot of success in Hamilton County with scholarships, so expect that to continue.
Okay, thank you. That makes a lot more sense.
Okay, sure.
I do have a few questions.
Sure.
So just to clarify, this is one project per category. Yes, or can we incorporate multiple different projects into a category?
You can incorporate multiple projects into a category. So if you have a category like communication, or I guess we were talking about the healthy living, probably with the travelogue. If you've also done, I think you've also done photography, mm-hmm. which falls under that category as well. So it's about the category, not about the project. So you're emphasizing the skills that you developed under that category versus just that project. And you can take any of the projects that fall under that. But for example, you could not take, if you do electric, you wouldn't be pulling your electric into that. You would do a separate one. You would apply separately for electric under the, what is the exact title of that one?
Engineering and technology.
Engineering and technological science, yeah. So those two aren't very interchangeable.
Yeah.
You do find things like citizenship and communications and leadership. I think that's where things get kind of complicated about, well, which one do I pick? honestly, you can look again at the front page of this description for these scholarships. It tells you how many are awarded in each category. So if I was concerned, oh, well, which category should I pick of those three? Well, I would probably go with the leadership and or citizenship, because in communications, they're only going to award 2 scholarships. Now, if you are, if you've been really involved in a lot of communication things, if that's the heavier part of it, I'd go for it, definitely. The communications. And don't be scared away by what looks like a limited number, because again, so many of the applications get thrown away. And if you have done a good job putting this information together, you've got a great chance of getting an interview. And just like everybody who's had that experience with interviewing with judges, at judging on the county level, you just take that experience into that setting and you meet with that panel, which will be online this year, which I think will be more comfortable for a lot of people because it's a little more relaxed.
It was online last year and it was a lot more relaxed. It was kind of nice.
Okay. And then did you do one the year before where you had to go up and interview? Okay. But
Nope.
you did find it more relaxed.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. Did you have to give a speech first?
Yeah, it was just like a 3 to 5 minute speech, I think.
Right.
And then they asked a couple questions.
Yeah.
Awesome. I also had one other question. Could we get your email address just one more time? I don't think I quite caught it at the beginning.
Okay. It's, do you have a pen? CATHIWAHN@AOL.com. And it's also on the 4-H website and the Facebook page, and if you lose it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Anybody concerned about a project they have? Lindsay, if you're trying to talk, your microphone's on mute. Let's see, it looks like you're talking, but I'm not hearing you. It looks like your microphone looks like it should be on, but there's no sound coming through. Is your volume up? Can anybody else hear her?
I haven't been able to hear her.
I don't hear her.
It's not coming through. You're welcome to. And I'll get some tech help here and see if we can solve this.
It looks like she put it in the chat.
Okay. All right. Now I have to get the chat because I had a screen share. Okay. Okay. All right. If you've got a pen, I'll give you the exact. All right. Oh, here it is. Okay, I'll type. Yeah, there's the link. Did you get it? I put the link in the chat.
I see it in the chat.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. Any other questions right now? No? Okay. Well, if there's no specific question right now, I think I'll again just kind of awkwardly put up on the screen an example for you. This is what you'll find, this demographic page online to submit with your resume and your cover letter. Here's a sample cover letter. And it's got a name and return address. It's addressed to the scholarship judge. It's got the date. Your date's going to be January 25th, 2021. And you also want to highlight in your first paragraph which category you're submitting under. Now, you don't have to have a letter this long. I actually think maybe this was one of the later ones. So it doesn't have to be that long. It's quality versus quantity. And then you can look at, people like different styles of resumes. You don't want to do anything too, trendy. You don't want to go with colors and fancy fonts. You want to keep it pretty professional and straightforward, but you can set it up however you want to in terms of centering things or having how you want to do that. You want to bullet point your examples on your life skills. And again, you may not have this much information. That doesn't mean have any more or less chance of getting a scholarship. You just want to have quality information. And end your resume with a section about future goals and 4-H honors. So that you have an idea of what that looks like. You can look at resume examples online for a format you like, but again, keep it simple and don't do any weird fonts or colors. Again, if you've got your junior leader manual or certainly your record of 4-H achievement, that will remind you of all your projects. At this age, people have done a lot of things and it's easy to forget. And Lisa can give you details. So if you don't have any other questions right now, we can close it out. Again, everybody's welcome to email me, or you can email me, and if we need to talk by phone or whatever. It's really exciting to talk to young people about this opportunity. And I know several of you are going to end up with scholarships of some sort. So
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So I'm applying for the senior year scholarship, and I looked at the application stuff online, and it's like mostly filled out, but I didn't see anything about a cover letter or resume. Sorry, I got here a little late.
Okay.
But do I need a resume and a cover letter for that? Like, do I attach it to that, or?
No, we were focusing on the requirements for the accomplishment resume scholarship that goes up to 4-H at Purdue, because that's the one that involves the cover letter and the resume. For every one of these scholarships that are listed, so long as you just do what this cover sheet tells you to do, you've met the requirements for it. So, for example, your senior year scholarship, like you said, you just went online, it's got the information you fill out. That's all you have to do. With right under that Indiana 4-H Accomplishment Scholarship, it tells you the forms you need. You need a cover letter, resume, demographics page. So as you go through and identify which scholarships might apply to you, and some of them are kind of project specific, then when you look at the the forms that are needed, the majority of them just are an application. A lot of them are an application. Now, there are applications that are going to have probably at least one essay question. So you want to apply those same rules about read it out loud to yourself several times, have somebody else read it, do your best job, treat it the way you would treat, your favorite project, that project that you just really want to do your best with, because this one's going to earn you some real money. And let's see. So there are a lot of these scholarships, are kind of specific. So like the Francis Beck minimum of 5 years in beef or beef barbecue. Well, that's a limited number of people, right? That can apply for that. And then some of them everyone can apply for. So anything you can apply for, definitely go ahead and apply for it. And if you're not sure, talk to Kathleen and ask her, hey, would I be eligible for this scholarship? Is there some way I can be eligible for this scholarship? Oh, and one other thing, they list amounts with the scholarships. However, that can vary a little bit. I know one of the scholarships that Lucy got, like a couple months later, she just out of the blue got an extra letter saying they had extra money and here's, a few $100s more. So it's worth your while to do this. Yeah. Anything else?
Hi, I've got a question. So in the resume and everything, is this the time or the place to add different things like YouTube links of videos you've made pertaining to projects, different articles you have written using the skills that you've learned through 4-H? Would those be helpful or beneficial in this setting?
Yeah, that sounds like the kind of thing you could do, although it's not all just specifically the 4-H project. It's project related.
Yes.
So if you've done YouTube videos about it, yes, that would be. Now, if you wouldn't say you did YouTube videos about being class president, because that doesn't relate to 4-H at all. But if you can make a connection to 4-H, you can use it. Yeah, great question. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, well, we'll go ahead and wind it up. Thank you, everyone who came tonight, and I wish everybody great success and hope to hear from you by the first part of January about what kind of outlines you have together or what kind of initial draft you have, and certainly contact me or Kathleen with any questions, okay?